1,100 views.
Well done, sir. Amazing.
Thank you. And with that congratulatory note, we are starting up today's middle-aged gaming podcast. I am back after 38 hours of traveling from South Africa, which is something I will never do again. But yeah, we hear lots of gaming news. Gaming never stops, and neither do we. So let's dive into today's first story with Adam's story, whatever that may be.
All right, so my first story is going to be about PlayStation, unfortunately, has recently dropped 900 of their employees. And this is something that's been going around the tech industry. If you've been watching, Microsoft has dropped employees. Was it Tencent? I think it dropped some employees. Various other developers have been dropping employees, and now PlayStation is dropping 900. So they are shutting down London studio entirely. It's going to be entirely gone. Firesprite, Insomniac, and Naughty Dog will also be impacted, and this has actually led to the cancellation of several projects. So we had some live service games that were going to be coming out. Some of them were named, some of them were not. And it looks like some of them are canceled. For example, I believe they said that, was it The Last of Us Factions might be gone for good, and there's another one, unnamed one, that was supposed to be kind of a supernatural kind of thing in modern day UK. So that one's gone. But yeah, it looks like they're refocusing, and they even came out, and one of the representatives said that PlayStation had, part of the reason that they've had to do this is basically PlayStation has gone through, they've looked at kind of their brand and what they what people have expected of them with very heavy story-based games, and they want to make sure that they focus on that, and that they kind of go back to their roots and what made PlayStation so popular in the first place, and the fact that they're going, have been kind of transitioning into live service, and they feel that that was not the right move. And now that Jim Ryan's gone, they're going to kind of course correct and go back in the direction that they were originally planning to go. So yeah. So unfortunately, those 900 individuals will be looking for jobs, but at the same time, hopefully we'll be getting some good games out of it, and this refocus will benefit gamers down the line. So only time will tell, but that is that for now, yeah.
Well, if that's okay, that was also my first story, so I'm gonna ride on what you just said, and yeah, but that's fine, because so just two things. I don't know who's Matthew Ball, but Matthew Ball on X posted a gross reported layoff in the gaming industry in the past few years, post-COVID, of course, because you know that during COVID there was, on the contrary, a lot of hires, and the golden age of video games. Everybody was stuck. You remember that, right? So he said to affirm. So the numbers are not net of new hires. All right, it's just loss of job, the layoffs. 2022, 6,500 people got fired. It was a record year. In 2023, 10,500, new record year. 2024, day 58, 7,350 people got fired, and that includes the 900 from PlayStation. In case you wonder, for the PlayStation London studios, they are the one who were developing VR games for PlayStation. I can understand, because on top of my head, apart from Half-Life Alyx, VR has never been a big thing on PlayStation, especially since now you can buy a HTC Vive or the Quest. I don't remember. I'm not big on VR, but I know my kids want to keep telling me that, yeah, it's only $300 now. So you can have a good VR without a need for a big computer, apparently, for about 300 to 400 quid. So the PlayStation VR is not really a hot thing anymore. But basically, that was just the introduction of my good news, because in this, there is a good news. Is a Lion Studio, of course, made massive amount of money from Baldur's Gate 3, and Hasbro, who was the license, got lots of money as well. And they are on social media posting, hey, you got fired? You know what? We're going to open jobs soon, so come and give us your CV. So they're trying to get, the cream of the top. So if you are part of this layoff, take a look, keep an eye on Lion Studio job offering. I don't know if the rec is open or not, but we can expect that they are planning to grow soon enough. So yeah, just keep an eye on this.
Yeah.
Exciting news. Antoine, since Adam and you both talked about the same thing, let's move on to your second story then, so we can keep the rhythm of 111.
Fair enough. That's going to be quick then, because last week we talked about the collector edition of the DLC of Elden Ring, the Herb Tree, Mist of the Herb Tree. Mm-hmm. Sorry, the name doesn't stick, sorry. And I thought, recall last week I was like $250 for the steelbook, for the statue, which was 46 or 48 centimeters, that Adam said, no, it's pretty good and all. And there was $150 sitting on top for a numbered help, so collector item. And so I saw in my news feed, so it's being sold from a Dark Horse. I think the website is darkhorsedirect.com. They are selling a Horizon Forbidden West alloy statue, 500 pieces only. Hold on to your seat. It's $1,000. Yeah, $1,000 for a statue which is smaller to be as well. I think it's 30 centimeters something. Sorry, I add all the stuff here. Anyway, if you buy before, I think 1st of March or something like this, take a look. You get $100 off. I looked at the statue. It's pretty wide because it's alloy on a close strider. If you look at Aloy's face, it really looks like she's lost, like she's riding her bird, thinking, did I leave the oven on? Kind of look. For $1,000 statue, I'm like, oh my god, not so good, isn't it? So, if you're really into Horizon, which is a good game, especially the first one, but it's not the most popular franchise. Or if you're really into collectible, because we all know that it's not the best game, right? Which are the most expensive right now in retro games. It's usually the crappy one with a low amount of physical device. Just take a look. That might be something which will take value later, but as an art piece, it's honestly way too overpriced for what it is. Did you guys were able to take a look?
Yeah, I didn't take a look. The detail on the machine looks really good.
On the machine, yes, but on Aloy, did you see a face?
Other than her face, yeah, her face is kind of like a dead look. She's kind of like that, but other than that, like her hair, the clothing, it all looks pretty good.
Yeah, but for £1,000, it has to be perfect or more.
No, 1,000 is a bit much. I'm not spending that much money.
Yeah,
I think it looks amazing. Like $1,000. Like, first Anton was saying the size, but like for that money, right? And if you guys have seen those reels or those short videos on Instagram where people unbox those like full size figures of Batman and things, and they're made by this really special company, and they get shipped to you in this large box, and those are more than $1,000. But like, yeah, if I was rich and I had yeah, go ahead, Anton.
No, I have it if you want to see. It's 36 centimeters tall, 55 centimeters long, so 22 inch, 14 inch high, 22 inch long.
So I mean, for that money, looking at the detail of that and the materials, like it's actually reasonable compared to like other figurines, compared to like going along like the electronic street here in Taiwan, and there's a bunch of stores where they sell figures of famous anime characters, and I mean those prices go all the way up to like $3,000-$4,000 for some really good figurines, and they're about the same size. But I mean, it's just the detail. I mean, look at the detail; like it's cool. I don't like Horizon Forbidden West. Oh, these games are too close to names. But yeah, no, I think it's worth it. Like if I had a man cave and I owned my own place, oh God, I'd be stocking it up with figures everywhere. Not like all this stuff that's behind me that's super cheap, with the exception of the Batman Lego over there. Yeah.
I think the price is just about the fact that there's only 500 units of this. Otherwise, take any collector edition with a statue at least as good, and it's 200 to 200, 250. So, yeah. You really need to be into the collectible games for this.
Yeah, didn't the collector's edition come with a trimmer tusk or something like that?
Yes, it was.
And it was
really
cheaper,
big.
and you got the game with it.
Yes, and the art book, and the steelbook, and the whatever little gizmos you have in the actual collector edition case as well. Yeah, it's just sorry. I know it's not the best story. Just when I saw the statue and I saw the price, I was like, I got to talk about it. My God, people have too much money. They start buying this, but I'm not judging, right? You do whatever you want with your money.
It's a great story. No, I think it's. I mean, it's people like to know about this kind of stuff. People like to admire it from far. Like I like this story. I think it's awesome. I like to look at that kind of stuff and be like, one day, I will buy all of you. All right, and with that being said, my first story for today is another Nintendo Switch sale, which I feel is much more frequent than Steam. But I had a look through this week's sales of endlessly scrolling down with my mouse wheel, and I chose a few games that I think you might be interested in. The first one is the Arkham Trilogy, available for $35.99. Of course, discounted by 40%. Again, the first game, of course, runs really well. Second game, pretty much it goes in descending order. When you get down to Arkham Knight, it runs pretty badly on the Switch, of course, the Switch being 7-year-old hardware. I've talked about this. Go back and check previous videos, check previous live streams on YouTube, especially. I've talked about how the Switch isn't holding up for really modern games anymore. That's unfortunate. Second game I'd like to highlight is Lonesome Village, $21.58 at the moment. Please check the dates of these. Like Arkham Trilogy, I think, is still available for about another 2 weeks or so. But all of the games I've highlighted, like it's just Antoine just said the really good expression, the wheat from the chaff, something like that, I guess. But yeah, this is another a Stardew Valley-esque game with a bit more of a cuter art style, a bit more better looking, I guess. The third game, Roots of Pacha, again, similar to that. As I was scrolling through the games, pretty much these are all the games that really stood out to me, but don't worry, number 4 is going to be different. The number 4th game is going to be Train Driver Simulator. And for me, I've loved like the Railroad Simulator, the Railroad Tycoon games when all of us were all growing up. And trains are cool. And I don't know if this was a thing with your parents, but my parents always told me about the stories of the Blue Train, which is that train that goes through Southeast Asia, first class, amazing service, and you get to experience, Thailand and Malaysia and Cambodia and all these places on this like really amazing experience. But that's where I came to enjoy trains, and I took the Euro train from England to France for the first time in like 1995. That was amazing as well. Going under the English Canal. But yeah, trains are awesome. And if you like trains, this game is only $2, and you get to drive a bunch of trains on a freaking Switch in your bed or on the couch or in the swimming pool, wherever you want to do it. My last game is a game called Est Libra Revision, or Est Libra Revision, however you want to pronounce it. It's not something I've played or I've heard about necessarily, but I know when this was released on Steam, on Switch, and a bunch of other platforms, I guess it's a throwback to an older game, and maybe Adam's big brain would know that, or Anton. But apparently it's a really, really good game. Steam reviews are positive. Switch reviews are also positive. It's a pixel art, turn-based 2D RPG. I don't know too much about that, but it's only $20. So if you're looking for an RPG and it's like, oh my God, I finished it all, I need more, this could be the game for you. And I'll end off on saying that, again, as a Switch owner, right, we're lucky. We get sales at least monthly, if not bi-monthly, right? Again, depending on what app store you use. These are all US store prices. Even though I live in Taiwan, I shop on the US store for all my devices, except Steam, of course, which doesn't give me a choice. So while the prices I'm telling you today might not be on sale in your store if you're in the UK store or if you're in the South African store, they might be on sale at another point later. So you might keep these in mind, or maybe you could also switch those. Remember, like with the Switch, it's pretty easy to switch, right? You do lose your credit, right? Because your credit stays in that particular store, but you can switch and have multiple stores. I know people in Taiwan who do that. So some good deals today. Take advantage of them and let us know what games are you looking for on sale. What do you want to play? I'm trying to mention Baldur's Gate 3, which I'm still waiting to get discounted to like 25% or so, but we'll see. And that is my very speedy story number 1.
Well done. We always like sales.
Who doesn't? Yes. All right, sir. Story number 2.
All right. So for story number 2, apparently, Little Devil Inside is not dead, but still alive, which just a few days ago they dropped, was it Neo? I think it's NeoStream, I think is the name of the company that makes it, or is making it. But they dropped a new trailer about 6 minutes long showing the progress that the game has made, or what basically they've been going with. And a lot of things do look familiar. Some things look a little bit different, but they did go on to their Kickstarter page and they did list an update. They're basically stating that they feel bad because they haven't been communicating well, and everyone thought the game was dead, but it is in fact still alive. So part of the reasons for the delay are they said that they did switch to Unreal Engine 5, and so the switch to a new engine obviously had to make a few changes. One of the other things was that they said when they started, they were a very small group of developers working together, and as development went on, the group grew. And, they had some new faces, and those new faces had new ideas. And over time, different people had different ideas on how things should be done. And it kind of started going all over the place as, it was too many chefs in the kitchen, basically. But now a lot of those people are no longer there. They have downsized quite a bit. So now they are back to being a pretty small developer. But the original people who were originally on the development of it are still there. So, they've been mostly losing some of these new faces. So basically they've done some soul searching, and they are still very committed to their original vision. And so they kind of cut back on maybe some of the things that they had been considering to add or whatnot. And now it is going to be a little bit more focused. So hopefully it will be coming out. Some of the things that they did show was the traversal of the overworld. They said one of the things that they don't really want is too much fast travel. Apparently that's not very popular with people these days. So they instead what they're doing is they have an overworld. You kind of have this little piece and you're just kind of, meandering around in the overworld, and then you can go into a zone. And when you go into the zone, you can kind of explore around in there. They are showing that they're going to be very specific events. For instance, if you're driving along in your car, you can have a random event where a deer jumps in front of you and you hit the deer, and then you have to deal with this dead deer in the road. Decisions are going to be important. If you come across, certain individuals or whatever, you're going to have to make choices on, do you help them or do you help yourself? Because the game is going to be somewhat about resource management. So do you share your resources? Or do you hoard your resources? Is going to be a kind of a choice that you're going to have to make. And they did show some combat. So, they show them fighting a large kind of bird dragon thing, and also some zombies. They show that you can get a flaming sword. They also showed a quest where you have to put on a sheep costume and hide among sheep to kill this big predator thing that I guess has been harassing the sheep. So you have to, disguise yourself in order to get in there. So it's still looking good. No comments on when it is going to be released. However, they did say that they will hopefully be giving a release date soon. Will that hold up? They've given us release dates in the past, and it hasn't. Those have come and passed, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm just excited that this is actually still alive, because this was apparently first announced in 2015, and then it really got, or that was when it first went up on Kickstarter, and then in 2020, 5 years later, it was at the PlayStation 5 showcase as one of the games that was going to be kind of a launch game for the PlayStation 5. But now it looks like it might have to be on the back half of the PlayStation 5. And yeah, so anyway, I thought it was really interesting, and hopefully they will see this game to completion. So we'll see.
And do you remind people who didn't watch the last time you talked about this game, like quickly,
Long,
what
long
is
game.
Little Devil Inside about?
So, Little Devil Inside is you are a mercenary kind of dude, and basically the story isn't really clear as to what the whole thing is, but it's kind of this goofy little the graphics are kind of these goofy little very cartoonish in a way. But yeah, you're basically hired to go on these quests. It's kind of like the great age of exploration or kind of thing. You know, you're climbing through the Alps, you're going through the desert, you're hacking your way through the jungle. And as you're doing it, you're kind of picking up on these scientific, you're doing this for scientific purposes for the most part, it seems. So you're going to be going through and collecting things and sending them back to your I guess, what would you call it? Your patron or whatever, some scientist dude in some little quaint, England town or New England town kind of place. And, set in like the 1920s kind of style. And yeah, that whole, if you've seen the original, not the original, but the 90s version of The Mummy, I think that's probably the kind of vibe they're going for, kind of goofy, going off onto these adventures and, fighting off monsters and zombies and whatever. And so it's kind of got that big adventure kind of feel to it. And you're playing as the mercenary guy who's tasked with going out and collecting samples and whatnot. So
that sounds really cool. I didn't know this game, so I think I'm going to check. Do you have the link or something? Will you drop it? Maybe you can drop it under in YouTube.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So like I said, they originally posted the game on Kickstarter in 2015, and then 5 years later they were like, okay, this game's coming for PlayStation. Then they pushed it back to 2022, and now it's 2024. So yeah, this game has been in development for at least 9 years at this point. So they're giving Final Fantasy a run for their money.
Very cool. And on that note, Antoine, your story number 3.
Yeah, so who doesn't know Palworld? But a little Palworld story, and the developers of Pocket Pair are having some growing pains, as you say in English, I think. They are learning, and they had a patch not too long ago, 0.5 to be very precise, which brought a couple of stuff, and among them, two things. They fixed something which was originally a bug, and players said, no, we fixed that, something that people like, which is the fact that you could catch using some random, bug exploit, I would say. You could catch the boss from the towers by committing a crime and then going into the tower and etc. And because the developers do that job, they are fixing bugs, and they fix this one in particular, which apparently upsetted the fans, and now bring back this bug. So this bug became kind of a feature, and they want it back. So that was cute. They even went on X, to apologize. Sorry, we did our job. They didn't phrase it like this, but almost like, yeah, sorry, you fixed the bug. And so there was this, and something else, they're trying to balance their game. I have been that far in this game, so maybe Adam will know better than me, but in the breeding, you can breed your pals. And when you breed them, apparently now you have some forced negative traits on the bred pals. And this has been taken quite badly by the players. So because the developers are actually listening to a fan base, they said that they would fix this issue, which, it's not really an issue. They decided to balance a game like this, but, I don't know how experienced Pocket Pair is. There was the one who did the Frozen Flame, right, I think, right?
No, that's Raven Age.
No,
completely different. They're the ones that did Craftopia.
Okay. Well, in any case, the Palworld is only version 0. something, so it's still a beta, it's still an early access, right? So, they are going through a little patch, listening to you. So if you have any issues with their fix and bugs and stuff like this, don't hesitate to communicate with them while staying, respectful, of course, and polite. And clearly the development team is listening to you. So yeah, that's a good thing for them.
Also, Adam's streaming it the last 2 days. So, Adam, how are you feeling about Pal World?
It crashed. Yes, was it yesterday? It crashed like 2 or 3 times. I don't think that was Pal
no.
World's problem. I think that was my computer's problem, because apparently it said that I didn't have enough virtual memory to load some of the textures or something. So then I had to go through and reallocate virtual memory, and it was apparently set way too high. I have no idea why it was set so high, but whatever.
How much virtual memory were you having?
It was like 90,000 something. So like if you what it would say is, if you go in, it says recommended, and so you can have like automatic, or you can set it to custom, and you manually do it. And manually it said recommended is like 4,000 something, and when I set it to do it automatically, it was setting it at like 90,000 something. So a factor of well, yeah, I don't know, even what was it, like 250% or give or take higher than it should have been, or no, 2,500% of what it should have been, or something like that, something crazy. Set really, really high. So after the stream, or after the second crash or third crash, I was just like, screw it, and then I was messing with things, and then I ran it again last night, and it seemed to be running better. But yeah, I didn't have the issue with the breeding. I'm not quite sure what that issue was, because my breeding hasn't had too many problems. Yeah, I don't know if but like Antoine said, it was a forced negative thing. So I don't know. The pals that I was breeding did not have negative traits on them. So I don't know. Maybe it was saying if a parent has a negative trait, then the child will 100% also have that negative trait. Maybe that was what the issue was. I don't know. But I haven't had too much trouble with that. I still do have trouble with some of the capture rates. I guess I should go into world settings and change the capture rates, because those do feel insanely low at times. But yeah, where it'll say like something like if I throw the ball, it'll say 15% chance, and I'll end up using 20 balls to catch something, and I'm like, that was not a 15% chance. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, I'm still enjoying it. My only kind of thing for me is when I started off, obviously I was progressing very quickly, as games you often do. And then as I've leveled up in the game, progress has been coming far more slowly, to the point where, before I could kind of just go about my regular life and do what I wanted to do and build and construct and go out and collect pals and that sort of thing. And I was leveling up at a fairly good rate, and now I'm finding myself actually having to go out into the world and grind for experience, because I'll get to a point where I'll want to do something and I'm like, oh, I just can't, because I'm not a high enough level and I haven't been able to unlock that technology yet. And it'll be like, yeah, so I have slowed down the progress there, but again, I could change the experience settings in the world options, so I might have to go do that. My only other thing is my only other problem that I kind of feel I have a problem with is some of the pals have upgrades with technology that you can get. So for example, if you certain ones have guns that you can get. I thought it was you would equip your gun on your pal, and certain pals of certain sizes could equip them, but no, it's actually like very specific. This pal can only use this gun, and you have to unlock that specific technology for that specific pal. So for example, there are these big panda things that get grenade launchers, and they're the only ones that can use it, but you have to unlock that one technology just for that panda. That's different than what I expected. That's fine. But what I don't really like is the fact that I will catch a pal at a certain level. Like I'll find it out in the wild. For example, Grisbolt is the big yellow Totoro Electabuzz looking thing. And if you find him in the wild, he's around level 20. But if you want to unlock his gun, you can't unlock it until you're around level 40 or so. And I'm like, well, I feel like if the pal is caught at level 20, his technology should be unlocked at around level 20. Otherwise, it's like I can unlock this pal, but I can't unlock his, I can't unlock, I can catch it, but I can't use its ability for a really long time because I need to progress in the game. And to me, I just felt like, if a pal's base level is this in the wild, that should be the level of the technology for that pal. Otherwise, yeah, you catch pals and you're like, oh, I can't use it. So yeah.
No, I agree with you. That's I was expecting to be able to put some sandbags and some how do you call, like, miniguns behind and put, because I think I recall in the trailer you could see the little ship on minigun, right?
Yeah.
You can do that in the game.
You can, but the minigun is like it's not a minigun. It's a LMG. It's a light machine gun. But yeah, that's not unlocked until level like 40 something, I think. So in the lamb, and it's not the lamb that can use any pal that has a handiness skill can use the mounted guns. So technically, any pal with that skill.
So they are mounted guns. Okay.
So those ones, yeah. If it's like a fixture in your base, any pal can run up, and any pal that has a certain skill can run up and use those guns. But going out in the wild, like we see the one with the big minigun, only that pal can use the minigun that he's carrying. You can't put that on a different large pal. But again, like, yeah, you see, especially like you see the little lambs using it, and they're a very low level character. But in the trailer, but for a player to be able to use that item, you'd have to be much further in there. I haven't unlocked that yet. And I will say there's also some really odd stuff. Like, for instance, I didn't unlock that, but I did unlock mounted crossbows. And so I put 2 down, and I put 2 of these little flower pals on it. So they're sitting there. They're standing at the crossbow. But whenever enemies would come to my base, they would never shoot the enemy. They would just stand there at the crossbow. And I was like, why am I putting you here as a sentry if you're not going to do anything? It was just a weird. I don't know why it just wasn't working for whatever reason.
Maybe a bug or something?
It might be a bug. It might have to do with terrain. I've had some weird terrain kind of things where, like, if I put my breeding pen in a certain location, there were rocks there, and then sometimes the egg will spawn inside the rock, and you can see like the very top of the egg, but you have to be standing in like just the perfect condition to be able to pick it up, because it's clipping through the rock, and issues like that.
Okay, and with that Powell discussion away, I'm going to talk about my second story, which is something I was thinking about. I saw this article on The Guardian, which gets complete credit for that, was the idea of a gaming refuge. So, gentlemen, please think about one game, which is your gaming refuge. You can interpret that however way you want to interpret it. So I was like, what is my gaming refuge? And I was like, is it a game? And it could be a game. Like I was thinking about Marvel Snap, but Marvel Snap is not my gaming refuge. I would say Hearthstone was for a very long time, because that's a game I could play, and I could play it anytime, and I could play it for a long amount of time. Like if I was waiting at the airport, I could play Hearthstone for hours, and because Hearthstone had so many modes, Snap has 2 modes, but it's still, each game is 4 minutes, and after playing 100 4-minute games, you kind of get a little bit bored. So, and then I was like, oh, what is it, right? What's my answer? My answer for a gaming refuge, for me anyway, you guys take this however you want, would be, you can sort of guess it, which would be my farming life sim, repetitious task games. My coworker asked this because I was telling her about it, and I was saying, yeah, I like to do that kind of stuff. I like to do stuff, even though my life is super busy. I like to do stuff in games that keep me busy as well, because why? I have no idea. But it feels so orderly and organized and not crazy, and everything's simple, and it's not like real life where it's everything has like an infinite layer of complexity. It's just like, oh yeah, you want to get married? I'll just keep giving your wife gifts in a game, and eventually she'll say, okay, you're my soulmate, and you're like, okay, here's a ring, let's get married. She's like, yes, of course, because that's the way games work. It's not like a real life, right? People can say no when you ask them to get married. Or it's and just like earning money. Oh, go to a quest board, take a quest, do quest, get money, done. No income tax, no going to the tax man, no wondering about tax bills at the end of the year. No. Why can life be that easy? Why? Anyway, so my answer is gaming refuge would be live sim games. I love them. I don't think I'll ever stop loving them. Maybe eventually after I play them out of my brain, I'll stop. But for the moment, that is my refuge. So I want to go Antoine next. Antoine, what is your gaming refuge?
Some very slow games like 4X, for instance, like Civilization or Stellaris, or something where if I have time to play, I can do a 4-hour session. If I don't have time to play, I can just do one turn, do whatever I need to do, come back, do one more turn. Like that's why I really like Against the Storm right now. You know, like I can do one colony, play an hour, do my colony, and go do whatever I want, and whenever I want, I can come back and start another colony. It's slow, it's grindy, and it's always there if I want to have a short session or long session, whatever I want. But I know that it's gonna let me let off steam. I'm not gonna be overly emotional about it. I know what I'm gonna find. A bit like you, right? It's exactly a definition of a refuge. I don't know what to play. Let's start a colony. Or at some point it was Hitman, you know, like a 1 hour session of Hitman, just one mission. And I don't need to, it's not like a Xenoblade I'm playing right now. It's a 100-hour game if you do everything about it. And it's not like you can stop and play a short session or something. It's not the same, right? I just like this sort of game. I'm not sure if I'm passing the message very properly, but you know,
it makes sense. It makes sense.
You're not really story dependent, right? You're not attached to it, but if you have half an hour to spend, you can just go there and do it.
Cool. All right, Mr. Gray, blow us away with your refuge.
I'm not gonna blow you away. It's obviously The Sims for me. I mean, you know, I've been playing that series for a long time, and I've said it before. That's my Zen game, and if you know, if I just need to relax and I just need to get away from stuff, you know, I'll just pop on The Sims and, you know, just let them live out their lives and maybe improve their lives a little bit, or, you know, take out a few frustrations on them or whatever needs to be done. But yeah, I just like having that. I like the fact that you can direct it, and you can kind of at the same time, if you want, you could even take a step back and let them kind of do their own thing for a while and just kind of observe them, you know, like just kind of treat it like an ant farm for a bit. So yeah, definitely The Sims for me.
Do you have The Sims installed?
Sims 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have it installed. I play it all the time. Sometimes, like,
because
yeah.
you never talk about it, like, you know, like it's when we talk about the subject of like sim games, then you bring it up. Otherwise, like, you're not like somebody will like, oh yeah, I played The Sims this week and this is what happened.
Oh no, I play it all the time.
Question?
Like sometimes if my wife's like ready to go to bed or something and she's gonna take a shower first, then I'll just pop it in and just live out a couple days of my Sims life, and they can send their kids off to school and they can go to work, and yeah, and just do that for 15-20 minutes. And yeah.
Do they still sink if you remove the ladder from the swimming pool?
No, in Sims 4 they can climb out on their own. If they just come to the edge and pull themselves up. You can't kill them that way anymore.
Shame.
You could put a fence around the pool so they can't climb up. But so there's still ways to force them to drown, of course. But no, they can climb out of the pool on their own now. So yeah.
And listeners, just so you know, we're not homicidal at all. It is just a joke.
Taking
It's
out
not a joke. Antoine does that.
Yes,
I've done it before too.
When
I was playing Sims 2, one of the things that I did is I wanted to have kind of a monsters family house, and so what I did is depending on how your Sims die, they will become different colors. In Sims 2, at least, they would become different colors of ghosts, and they would have different aspects. Like, for instance, if you died by drowning, I think the ghost was blue, and it would leave random puddles on the ground as it moved around. Like, areas would just excuse me, areas would just have like, yeah, a little water. If there was a fire one, they'd leave like little flames on the ground. If they died of certain things, they would be like angry and make people angry, or they might possess objects and cause them to float around. So I was like, okay, I want a monsters kind of family. So I just went in and added in a family, and I made sure to kill off every member of the family in a different way so that I would get all the different kinds of ghosts, and then And then I added in a second family, and that second family, I made sure that, one person was a werewolf, one person was a witch, one person was an alien, one person was a vampire, and just added that and created my spooky family and, had fun with them. So, yeah. I love Sims. And that's why I never stream it, because that's my Zen game, and I'm like, that's the game that I relax with, and that one's just for me, so I'm not going to stream it.
Okay.
I think Corinne just realized he's the only sane person here.
No. God, no. I am the furthest definition from sane.
Yeah. But yeah. Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah.
Saving Private Ryan, the movie, yes. And at one point they're all telling stories, and he's talking about his wife or something, and he mentions something about her, like... the way she gardens or something like that, and he always thinks about that, and they're like, tell us a story about that, and he's like, no, that one's just for me, that's not one I share, that's my story, that's like, that's for me. The Sims is my game, that's the one I play on my own time. I'm not going to be streaming it, I want to be able to relax in it, so no goals.
All right, story number 3, sir.
For Antoine?
Already done, right?
Oh, for me. Oh, sorry.
Are we already done?
Yeah, because he and I had the same one. I had some backup ones too, yes. But anyway. So apparently, if you were a fan of Pokemon, like I am, and you were a fan of the trading card game, like I was, then you're probably going to be really happy at the latest Pokemon announcement. Pokemon Day was just a few days ago in Japan because it was the anniversary of the release of Red and Blue back in 1997. But they're coming out with a Pokemon trading card app game thing. So basically what it is it's an app. You can download it on your phone, and every day you will get 2 free packs of cards. And so you can just, you'll get a little ding on your phone. You go, you just swipe, and you can rip off the top of the pack, and it'll show you what new cards you got. A lot of these cards are some of the original cards that they had, were releasing way back in the day, all the way up till some modern ones. They also have some new cards that are specifically only for the app. But you can see, everything that they have, all the stats and all that. Some of the cards are interactive, where, for example, one of the examples that they show in the trailer is the holographic Charizard card. And as you move the card, they have like the holographic part pops off. So, it's kind of like this 3D card in the game. They also have cards that you can go into. So, for instance, you might see a scene of a certain Pokemon, and when you click on it, the card fades away and the scene within kind of expands, and you can kind of explore this almost like a painting of the Pokemon world. And it's kind of like a layered painting, like a 3D painting, so you can kind of explore in it and go deeper in it, or pull back. So that's really cool. They also are making with the trading card game app, there is a streamlined version of the trading card game. So if you are somebody who played the trading card game back in the day, it's not going to be a full version of the trading card game, so it's not going to be like a Hearthstone kind of thing, but it is going to be it's going to have some streamlined rules. And that way, if you want to have like a quick Pokemon battle with somebody, you're on the bus or whatever, then you can have kind of a quick, these are designed for quick little battles, not kind of fully fledged out things like what you might find in Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone or even the actual trading card game. So, yeah, if you're a big fan of Pokemon, then go ahead and check it out. It's free, and you get free. Yeah, you get 2 free packs of cards a day. So you're going to build up that collection for we're gonna build up quite the collection eventually. So yeah, I thought it was fun.
Yeah, don't try. Oh, but my son is already collecting the physical cards, so the app is gonna go on his tablet very soon, and I'm pretty sure that he's gonna force me to get it as well. Anyway, yeah, now I'm aware of it.
I saw this story yesterday, and the thing that immediately caught was like Marvel Snap-like gameplay. I'm like, oh yes, finally. Because when I was a kid, even though my younger brother denies it, he was the Pokemon person in the family. I always wondered what you guys' take was like. When I was growing up, right, if my one brother did something, we wouldn't do it just because he's doing it. We're like, okay, I got to find my own thing. So if my one brother played watched Pokemon, I didn't watch Pokemon. If my one brother played this game, I didn't play it. Or if one brother played Orcs and Warcraft, I would play the humans. And that's how we divided things up as three brothers, right? Like it was, no one did the same thing. And so because my younger brother watched Pokemon, I never partook of it, and I always wanted to get into it. And I watched the videos on YouTube, I'm like, oh my god, these rules seem so complicated for like kids' games. And even like Adam and I in Taiwan, right? Adam's probably experienced this. Kids were like, hey teacher, check out my Pokemon card. And even though it's in Japanese or Chinese sometimes, and as my Chinese got good, I'm like, okay, let's have a look at these cards. And you're like, holy mother, this is like as complicated as Magic is as far as the rules. Anyway, I'm like, take this damage and this attack, and if this is like this, then this. How the hell do kids remember all of that? So I love the idea of Marvel Snap because Marvel Snap matches are super quick. It was literally the first thing when I did when I woke up at 3:30 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, okay, I'm going to play a Marvel Snap match because what else am I going to do that's not going to bother people at 3:30 a.m.? And it's fine. I think this is going to be accessible. I think this is the future direction of games. I mean, look at what happened with Hearthstone. Look what happened with Magic the Gathering game, which did really, really well, the digital version. But at the end of the day, it's still such a niche audience. Like, who's going to commit 20, 30 minutes to a game? I remember playing a single Hearthstone match for like 25, 30 minutes, especially a control match where you're playing slowly, right? You're not being aggressive, you're not being defensive, you're just controlling the game. So I think it's exciting. I think simplified rules for a lot of stuff is great. I know some of the big brain people will be like, no, we need complexity. You don't need complexity. Simple is good. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm looking forward to it. That'll be something I automatically install on my phone. 2-3 packs a day is going to be interesting because with Second Dinner or with Marvel Snap, you get a free card every few levels and you get lots of free credits and stuff. But the 2 free packs seem a lot better in terms of incentivizing people to keep playing. I wonder what the drop rates are going to be for like legendary and amazing cards. And is there going to be a market for this as well? Can we sell our cards for real Japanese yen or dollars or whatever? It'd be interesting, but I'm excited.
Yeah, as far as the way it's advertised, they just kind of like in the trailer, just at the very end, they're like streamlined Pokemon battles. So it seems like the point of this app is less about the gameplay and more about just a card collecting app. Like it really seems like the primary focus here is just build a library of cards. So, but I will say, as far as playing the card game, that of all the card games I've played, I feel like Pokemon's actually the simplest and the easiest to learn. So I growing up, I did feel like, because I knew people that played Magic and there was like some Star Wars card games and stuff like that. And I felt like Pokemon was designed to be kind of like my first card game for kids. It was designed for young kids and kind of to get them into these kind of more complex card games. So it was relatively simple to begin with. So yeah, I've never had any problems picking it up.
Cool. Anton, do you have a backup story or a story you want to talk about quickly?
No, sorry. Nothing such.
I did.
No worries. Yeah. All right, then my final story for today, and then I guess with good time we can end up a little bit early, is Steam games for Mac. So, when I was on South Africa, right, we talked about this a little bit, like where do you get games? If you have a MacBook or you have some sort of Mac, well, I guess a MacBook, right? Or some sort of Mac laptop or Mac desktop, you're like, I want to play some Steam games, right? And you're like, okay, you load up your Steam, you're like, I'm excited. Oh, there's my Steam collection. And then you see this little like crossed out arrow for a whole bunch of your games. So what I want to do is just give you guys some suggestions, right? So how to approach this. Very simply, like if you're thinking about getting a MacBook and you're a gamer, yes, there are games to play on Steam. There are games to play on the Epic Game Store, but today I'm focusing on Steam. I would Google games for Steam on Mac. You'll get up with a list, which is the link I'll include if this video ends up making it to YouTube. And you'll see a list, right? There's something like 42,961 results. About 2,300 of them are not available on PC. And that being said, those 2,300 are like a lot of the big games because, of course, Mac and PC games and Windows are fundamentally different, right? The structure of the OS, structure of the way the graphics cards and the graphics are different, right? Apple's trying to solve that with Metal, but that's another video. You'll find a lot of famous games, Baldur's Gate 3, available for Mac. Wonderful. Civilization 6, Lies of P, Dave the Diver, XCOM 2, Terraria, Dota, of course, Elder Scrolls Online. You name it, it's probably there, but there's still a lot of games that are not available. Now, that being said, if a game is not available, you could still run it through something that's called, I forgot what it's called actually, but there's another way to run it similar to, I'm thinking of the Linux version called Wine, which is like for Linux, allowing you to run Windows games, just like virtualizing a Windows machine. That's a very complicated way, and you need a lot of really powerful hardware to do that. But why I thought this was a good story is because, yes, you can game on a MacBook. And yes, the from the M1 up to the M3, you're looking at least 720p gaming, if not 1080p, if not 4K gaming on a physical Mac desktop. If not. Guaranteed 4K gaming if you bought that $5,000 MacBook desktop. No problem. And then you can virtualize, you can run Windows 11 as a virtual desktop, no problem at all. So yes, if you're buying a MacBook, or if you're a student, or if you're a person who works for an American company and American people are crazy about Apple, Adam excluded, of course, because he's not an Apple person. You get to play games. You get to play some cool games, and they run really well. I did get to test out a few games while I was in South Africa. They run perfectly well, flawlessly. There was some screen sizing issues that was a bit weird. I couldn't quite figure out. I only had one game that had an issue with that. But yeah, Macs make pretty good gaming machines. The M1 MacBook Pro 13-inch is kind of small. I didn't enjoy gaming on it that much, but yeah, if you hook it up to your TV through HDMI, it runs pretty well. And that is it, guys. So before we end up today's show, what's on the gaming radar, Antoine? Well, I'm not streaming for you still yet, but what are you gaming with?
Sorry, just very quickly, because since you asked me for backup stories, I quickly checked out Game Rant. Unfortunately, I saw that EA is following the bandwagon and just announced that they are laying off 670 people. So sorry for EA's employees, unfortunately. More joyous news is that it looks like Xbox had a good nose and decided that Palworld was good enough for them to take interest, and they are getting out two Xbox controllers themed, Palworld themed. One with Lamble, which is of course a little lamb, and Depresso. No clue which one that one is, but if you play Palworld, I'm sure you will know which one it is. Apparently, there's an Xbox Palworld sweepstake contest, which offers you a chance to win themed Xbox Series S controllers and Game Pass Ultimate mode, so that might interest you. So that's it for the very short backup story. And after, what am I playing? As usual, I'm trying to finish Xenoblade on Switch, which is excellent, but oh god, it's so long. And to relax myself when I have half an hour to lose, it's Against the Storm, which is very grindy, and I'm gonna play this for a while. And the next game I'm gonna play definitely is gonna be Persona 3 Reload, but after I finish Xenoblade, because too many games at the same time, you just lose interest. So yeah, that's how it is.
Hi, Ms. Gray. Besides streaming Palworld and besides secretly playing The Sims 4 when no one's around, what else are you doing?
I will cease my streaming of Palworld because as of today here in Taiwan and tomorrow, which is just in a few hours in US, Canada, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming out. So I will be playing that, and I will probably be streaming that as well. I don't know how popular that is going to be, given that A, it's a single player game, not a multiplayer game, and B, it is going to be very spoiler heavy. I'm not sure how popular it'll be, but that's what I'm going to be playing for the next foreseeable future until that's done. And I hopefully am able to finish it before Dragon's Dogma. It's been getting really good reviews. Everything I've seen has been glowing. Apparently people were posting spoilers online. Somehow I've managed to avoid those. So thank God for that. But I'm super pumped, super excited. So it is already pre-downloaded and ready to go.
and right now the spoilers. So
yeah.
I'm going to remember not to send spoilers to you guys online, or at least for Adam anyway, when I see stuff on threads.
That's okay. I'll probably get to it pretty quick.
Cool. I'm looking forward to hearing you. I mean, because I always see the reviews, and I'm always Final Fantasy curious on the fringes somewhere, but I haven't felt the need to dive in. Persona 3 was something I kept on seeing in South Africa a lot. I don't know why. But yeah. Anyway, thanks guys as always for the stories and the time, and thank you guys for watching the views and supporting us. We had 89 comments on Adam's Helldiver video, which was very painful to reply one by one. Jens, we have to talk about that because I do not have time to reply to 89 comments every day. So we'll talk about that at a later date. But thank you guys. It's still very much appreciated. It just was like 89 comments after 38 hours of travel. Did not make my day yesterday. But no, that's part of the thing, the sort of the game, the scheme we signed up for, and creating a YouTube channel at 40 years old and growing it and making cool videos and doing fun things and talking about the things we care about. But don't forget to check out Adam's streaming Final Fantasy VII. Check out the occasional video Antoine gets to do when he has time, if he has time. And yeah, right, 5 videos a week, right? Wednesday to Sunday. Stay tuned for those. Stay tuned for 5 days of shorts, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube. And then we will see you guys same time next week, Wednesday. We're going back to Wednesdays, right? Unless there is any further disruption. But yeah, Wednesdays, morning Taiwan time, Tuesday evenings. And then we will see you guys next week. More news, more stories, and more fun games. Bye, guys.
Cheers.